Thank you. Now, I would like to open this up to the audience if they had any questions for our panel up here. What was your question? Yes.
Between all the social applications and social media, do you find that there's a different personality using Facebook versus Instagram versus Twitter?
Oh, I'm going to take this one first.
Do you even tweet, bro?
I don't even tweet. No, I think Twitter is annoying, but that's just me. I just never really, I don't know. I think for me, Instagram is less BS. Like, it's just to the point. The people I follow are not really posting negative stuff. We're all kind of there for the same purpose. Facebook, I tend to have more like family members and people I went to high school with. So I'll post one thing and like word it a certain way on Instagram, and then I'll post the same thing and I'll actually word it a little different on Facebook just because it's a little different audience. I focus most of my garden stuff on Instagram, and I try to spend less time on Facebook just because we've all been on Facebook, and it should be called Opinion Book, and I just need to keep my energy levels and my vibe high, and Facebook isn't really good for that for me personally.
Now, I'll answer this one a little bit because I have about 30 social media accounts based on companies I do consulting for, ones I've made. Sometimes you can curate your content to push it to different audiences. Facebook is a very different audience than Instagram. Instagram has a very short time frame that people are going to see your photos as they scan through so much other content that's up there. You can differentiate yourself with hashtags or having a grassroots following that way. Facebook, you seem to, it's pay to play. There's a lot of it you want to do sponsored posts with a very important message that you want to get out, and you want to curate that so you can get those likes or get that message out that you're looking for. And Twitter, you are limited to a certain amount of characters with that, and that also has a little bit different audience. But on a lot of these social media platforms, you can either use one platform that pushes it out onto all audiences, or you can push it even from Instagram onto Twitter or into different social media platforms to get your audience out there. But yes, they have different audiences, they have different people that interact it. Twitter, again, you have a lot of your content that disappears fast because there's so many other people using it and it scrolls through so fast. So sometimes Facebook can be very good. They've just changed this kind of new platform where they really want you to pay to get your message out.
I think that Facebook is a great platform for getting more content, more information on more content out. Whereas Instagram is really neat for the type of tool that we use it for. We are gardeners, we are seed savers, we are seed swappers. And how do you get someone excited about a jalapeno? How do you get someone excited about the jalapeno? It's the way you take the photo. When you see an awesome photo of some peppers, which you see every day in the market, it's like, yeah, that's amazing. I'm growing these. Let me step my game up here. You can post a post on Instagram of the greatest band on earth, and if it's a horrible picture, no one's gonna care. It can be Pink Floyd all day, and it's just gone black. No one's gonna like that. What it's doing is it's training you to have a discerning eye and get creative with the way that you're taking your photos, the time being mindful of the time of day or of the perfection that's happening in your garden. Say when a bee lands on a flower, like I can't pull my phone out fast enough to capture that, and I mean, truth be told. Yeah, there is a difference in the audience that is using these different platforms.
Is there any other questions from the audience? Yes.
In photography in general, I think that having the subject alone, if it's a penny on the ground, just a penny on the ground, or is typically more powerful. Otherwise, it looks like you're a hand model. When you've got to hold it in your hand and show it. The only other time that I practice the hand model thing on Instagram is when I'm holding seeds in a way that looks like I'm giving them to you or I'm receiving them. Otherwise, I'll hashtag your picture hand model because I think it's.
So I'm a hand model, and I post with my hands all the time in my garden pictures, and I get all kinds of likes.
Yeah.
But I'm always a hand model.
Yeah, exactly. Some people want to see just the subject alone, you know? It's a unique tree that's beautiful fall colors or a vegetable in the garden, but at the same time, people want to see you interacting with your environment, with your garden. They like to see that how big that tomato is in your hand, you know? You get a lot of likes when I'm finding a snake or a lizard in the garden, and people want to see that you're interacting. You're not just there observing, but you're interacting with your garden or your environment.
I will say I'm also a hand model with the hashtag Dirty Fingernail Club, and it seems to be a lot relatable to other people because you're in the garden getting dirty. No one goes in the garden and just looks at it. You just get your fingers in there and you see the garden, right?
Yeah. I'm going to say that both ways have their positives and negatives. And as far as engagement goes, I think the wow factor is really important. Like, oh my gosh, look at the size of that pumpkin. Or even with what your dialogue is, what your quote is, if it's like humorous or catchy, or you're kind of doing a play on words, like, you know, I think that's incredibly important too. And just really reaching almost that, like, some type of emotion from a post is, I think, what can cause a lot of engagement, so.
I was thinking we could talk a little bit about, other than just being Instagram, we did meet on Instagram, but how we met. And it's through seed swapping. I know that we met through seed swapping. I met Tony because he was posting prolific photos of all these wonderful things he was growing and things he was working on. And I just said, hey, can you hook me up, you know? And so he sends me in the most awful handwriting, you know, the words next to the seeds of the most amazing artichoke, a purple artichoke, which happened to be your favorite artichoke growing at the time, right? And Pollinator Haven, this gentleman sent me some, I think it was borage, man, or it was probably true comfrey, or maybe both, but he sent me some. And then introduced me to the most rarest beans in my, or at the time, the most rarest beans in my cache, or that I knew about, from the Rare Vegetable Seed Consortium. So we interacted based on what we saw each other doing, and relating through miles and miles away through the ether, and through postage. You know, just sending each other seeds. You had you've got one of your employees, Perpetual Harvest. Does anyone else swap with Perpetual
He
Harvest?
works for me.
He sent me like literally millions of pepper seeds. He's an awesome pepper grower who I hope is still in the game at some point. But we're all connected through seed swapping. You know, the internet and the social media aspect is just the platform that we're using as a tool to relate to our audience, relate to the world around us, and to each other, right?
Yeah, and I would just say, like, educate, inform, and awareness. Like, that's really what I know this group of people were really about. And, like, throw some funny stuff in there for sure, and pictures of me on a boat. But realistically, I think everybody's here to just really help others and bring awareness to what we've found works for us. And we've found ways to grow food, build community, and live a healthier lifestyle in that sense.
We're going to wrap this up. We're bleeding it over into the next thing, but I want to start with Andrew here. We actually have some questions for you, Emily, as our hostess and our moderator. We would like to know a little bit more about you. We'll start with Andrew's question for you.
So, like you said, that you're in a very diverse industry. What do you do about posting cannabis? And what is your tolerant level of haters and trolls?
Well, my tolerance has changed over the years on what I could and cannot post online, based on where I worked, based on what I do with consulting stuff. Lately, it's become very open. When you get to go visit a 4.5-acre indoor farm, you're going to post as many pictures of it that you can take because it's amazing.
I'm going to get really deep here. If you were a vegetable, what would you be?
Well, we kind of went over this last night, and so only your answer is in my head right now.
So what is it?
I would say I would be a cucumber.
Okay.
Because that happens to be my favorite thing to grow in the garden.
You got an Armenian cucumber that's just about to be ready for harvest. I know that firsthand because I've been helping her with her garden. But for those of you who don't know about Emily's garden, and she is a girl in the garden on Instagram, on Facebook, and on the radio, going into something that Tony said about annuals and perennials, what type of annuals and perennials are you growing this season in your garden?
So I am completely spoiled because I do live in Petaluma and we can garden all year round. So I have been able to place a lot of plants in my garden that either my strawberries, I mulch them with straw in the winter. They die back. They come back every year. We're going into the 3rd year. It's about time to put new plugs in for this year. Daletron planted a blueberry bush in my house or in my garden last year. We're going into the 2nd year. So with my gardening style, I used to love to do rows and everything looked perfect and there's no weeds in it, and it's really changed. Fractured my pelvis last year. I'm lucky if I can throw some stuff in the ground and just let it grow in a little patch sometimes. So I have all kinds of stuff in my garden this year.
What other annuals you got?
What other annuals? I do a lot of tomatoes. I do a lot of artichokes, watermelon, borage. That one seems to come back. Nasturtiums that always come back every year.
Awesome. Yeah, the illustrations look great. Well, we're bleeding into the next panel here, or the next discussion, so we're going to wrap it up. But I encourage you all to raise the dialogue with us, follow us, and continue this conversation, either here in person or on our social media accounts. We've got Seed Saver. Oh, come to the seed swap. That's right, man. I'm going to hand this over to you so you can remind everybody. We've got it's Tony Grows Food, Daletron _ and a girl in the garden over here.
Yeah, come out to the seed swap. It's from 3 to 5. It's gonna be lots of fun. Tons of people, tons of rare seeds, heirlooms, tasty stuff. Yeah, outside Finley Hall. Don't be late.
And thank you all for coming. Appreciate you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.